Ava King was the type of girl who blended into the background. Teachers often forgot to call on her. Her classmates talked around her as though she were invisible, a mere shadow in the room. She didn't mind. She knew how to keep to herself, how to avoid the attention she didn't want. But there were always those few who made it their mission to test her boundaries, to make her feel less than. To them, she was a target. They saw her silence as an invitation for their cruelty. Ava's days were predictable. She arrived early, took her seat in the third row by the window, and spent the day with her head down. She wasn't antisocial, but the less interaction she had, the less she was noticed. That's how it worked. That's how she had learned to survive. At home, things were different. Ava's father, Lieutenant Connor King, was a quiet man, always controlled, always observant. He was a decorated police officer, known for his ability to remain calm under the most intense pressure. Ava learned from him that strength wasn't about being loud, it was about maintaining control and being prepared for anything. He didn't talk much about his work, but he taught her things that stuck with her. Always be aware, never let your guard down, and when trouble comes, you act swiftly, without hesitation. The bullying at school started like it always did, small things at first. It was Jared Miller, the quarterback of the football team, and his two friends. They'd shove her out of the way in the hallway, call her names when no one was around, and make snide remarks about how boring and weak she looked. Ava kept her head down. She documented everything, the dates, the times, the places. Her father had taught her that when dealing with bullies, silence didn't mean weakness, it meant control. One day, however, Jared crossed a line. It was after school, and Ava was walking to her car, the hallway crowded with students on their way home. Jared stepped in front of her, blocking her path. He sneered as his friends watched, and someone pulled out their phone to record. "You think you're better than us, huh?" Jared taunted, taking a step closer. Ava froze, not in fear, but in calculation. She remembered her father's voice, calm and steady in her mind. Control first, action second. Her heart beat steadily in her chest as she took a step back, raising her eyes to meet his. "Don't touch me again," she said, her voice clear and unwavering. Jared smirked, thinking he had won. The laughter of his friends echoed in the hallway. They thought the moment was over. They were wrong. That evening, Ava didn't say much at dinner. Her father noticed. He always did. He asked no questions, only nodded as he listened. When Ava finished explaining everything that had happened, he remained calm. "You did the right thing. Now we do things the right way." The next morning, Ava walked into school with a quiet confidence. The administration had already received her formal report, exact, emotionless, documented. Jared and his friends didn't think anything of it. They were confident that nothing would come of it, but they were wrong. Before lunch, Ava received a note from the principal's office. Jared was called in for questioning, along with his friends. What they didn't know was that Lieutenant King had made a few calls of his own. He had spoken to the district, to the school board. A man trained in crisis management didn't overlook bullying when it happened to his daughter or anyone else's. The confrontation didn't happen in the hallway. It happened in the principal's office, with witnesses present, with clear facts laid out. Ava's report, her calm and collected account of what had happened, held up under scrutiny. Jared's arrogance faltered as the evidence mounted against him. There was no room for him to deny it. The school couldn't ignore it any longer. The consequences came swiftly. Jared and his friends were suspended. They were required to attend counseling, and their records would forever reflect the actions they had taken. For Ava, there was no victory dance, no loud applause. She simply went back to class, her head still held high. But something had changed. She wasn't invisible anymore. She had gained the respect of her peers, not through drama or revenge, but through dignity and strength. Weeks later, during career day, a man in uniform stood at the front of the auditorium, Lieutenant Connor King. He spoke to the students about integrity, responsibility, and how true strength doesn't shout, it stands firm, even in silence. Ava sat quietly in the back, watching him, knowing that she didn't need applause or validation. She had already proven her worth. There was no need for revenge. She had respect now, and that was enough. Moral of the story: real strength doesn't always come with noise or intimidation. Sometimes it's the quiet ones who are the most prepared, And when they stand their ground, it's not with loud words, but with facts, dignity, and unwavering control. Never underestimate someone just because they're silent, and never cross a line you wouldn't want someone to cross with you.